So this is Desert Island Vids on Punk for Homeless exclusive virtual festival. With me is Chris Dischord from obviously Dischord. Hello, mate.
How you doing?
Yeah, not bad at all, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of the lockdown fun, as it were, all the streamed gigs and stuff, because I've been out delivering veg boxes every day, which is yeah, it's nice to be doing something to help get people fed and whatnot. But yeah, it's a rare day off for me. I'm exhausted, but it's all good.
Bless you, man. Well, that's great you're doing that. You know, it's much needed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So how are you coping? Because you say you're out a lot, which is how are you coping?
Yeah. You know, most people are really decent and really respectful about having to keep their distance and whatnot. Delivering packages, it's a bit like knock a door run, but you don't get in trouble.
Brilliant. Right, Chris, tell us, because you Dischord, I mean, I always see you as a sort of punky band with a bit of a goth leaning.
Yeah.
Would that be correct?
It's interesting, like, because goth punk isn't really a thing, is it? Like, goth music isn't really a thing. It's like so much of it comes from imagery. You know, like the word comes from Gothic literature, and I think, yeah, I'm not sure if other members of the band would be happy with that description, but I am very much. I'm into anything dark and weird, and yeah, our latest album kind of really embraces that dark weirdness. So I think that's a fair summary. Yeah.
Well, I used to lecture quite a bit on Carl Jung.
Oh yeah.
He might be interested in Dischord. You know, Alan.
yeah, possibly so.
So you're up in Blackpool. What's the scene like
there? You know what? We started the band, sort of me, Dave, and Zoe, initially out of frustration with there not being much of a local scene, and you know the idea that Blackpool's known for rebellion, so it's like that big weekend once a year when everyone's in town, but not much was happening elsewhere. And a lot of the independent venues were closing, and it's still a struggle. But there are so many great bands on the Blackpool scene at the moment. You know, like Dropout Wives and Black Eddie, to name a few. I mean, we've lost a few of them. Like CSOD are split up now. The Polyesters are just split up. But yeah, there's a lot happening now. And one of our favourite places to play in town was the Blue Room, or the Brew Room, where they used to do a great fringe gig on the Rebellion weekend, and but they stopped a few years ago. So, but there's a lot happening at the Waterloo now in South Shore. Some fantastic gigs going on there. We supported the members there back last year, and obviously it was supposed to be the big Anarchy weekend this Easter weekend, but obviously sadly that's been cancelled now. But there is a good scene there now, I'd say. Over the last, since we started, we've seen a lot of changes, and a lot of them have been for the better.
Oh, cool, brilliant. Would you like to introduce your first song, buddy?
I would, yeah. So on the subject of dark weirdness, we put out our fourth album on Halloween last year, sort of really embracing that gothic streak. And me and Zoe, who shares my love of the weird and the macabre, we wrote a horror novel together and decided to do the album as like the soundtrack to that book. Because like Jake always says, with a lot of bands, especially bands that we grew up liking and still watch, they get to a point where they kind of hit on a formula that works for a song and they just keep churning it out. And I felt like we'd got to the point where we knew the Dischord formula, and we thought, well, let's abandon it. Let's try and do a really weird album. So we did a really weird album called Convent Crescent that came with a horror novel. And for every track, well, most of the tracks on the album, we kind of adopted a persona. So we perform it as under a different guise, in a different genre or a different style. But so the song you're about to hear now is Director's Cut, and that's one of the few Dischord albums on the record, a proper Dischord punk track. There were two songs that we did as Dischord that we could kind of keep in the ordinary live set without having to change it too much. So this is like as close to classic Dischord as you'll get on the new album, pretty much, but we love it. We've played it live pretty much every time we've played since we wrote it. And the version you're about to hear is from a live session we did actually before the album came out. When we did this, we'd never played it live before. So it's kind of raw, it's kind of ropey, but I like that. It's got that raw energy about it. This was a live session we did at Berlin Studios in Blackpool. So big shout out to James from Berlin and his awesome band Ascaris. Check them out as well. But yeah, this is director's.
Viewers, you can catch that in our links because Facebook won't fucking let us play it through Facebook. You know, they keep sort of clamping down when we try to play things as part of the interview. So you're stuck with listening to it through the interviews. But check that out because that sounds great, folks. So, you're talking about the macabre and stuff as your influences.
Yeah, definitely.
So how does that? I mean, obviously, I mean, for me, you're a very powerful band.
Oh, thank you.
How does the sort of macabre side of you go down at gigs?
I don't know. I think we're a very different band on record than we are live. I think because live we have a lot of energy and a lot of crowd interaction, and obviously you can't have that on a record. It's a completely different medium. So I guess it's trying to maintain that level of intensity, but in a different way. Quite a lot of people have said, like I remember Shelley from Midland Punk Rock Videos saying that she got a strong horror vibe from listening to our records, which I really liked. I think we've always had that kind of in the artwork and in the lyrics and in the weird little snippets and samples and sound collages we do. And I think it's just a way of having sort of the intensity of the live performance, but in a different setting, which kind of brings us nicely to the next song, actually.
Okay, introduce that one, mate.
Yeah, so as you know, well, most of Dischord are from Blackpool. Me and Zoe were sort of born around here and grew up kind of, and in Lancashire, you know, we have that Pendle Witch connection, which kind of really informed a lot of my beliefs and interests, especially as a kid growing up with so much sort of folklore and you know, literally in the shadow of Pendle Hill. And I spent a lot of time in Lancaster, where of course it's got its fair share of ghosts and legends and whatnot, but also the castle where the witches were imprisoned and killed nearby. So the next song is, I said that the album was weird. We're down the rabbit hole now. And one of the guises we adopted was a folk band called the Never Dead. And this is our Pendle Witch themed song, A Wonderful Discovery of Witches. And also, like, growing up, like, folklore and folk music was something that I really bonded with my dad over. And he's not massively into punk music, but he's always been, you know, really supportive of Dischord. But it was great to get him to come down and play some mandolin on this track for us because he loves folk music. So that was, it was a special moment for me getting my dad to play on the track for us.
Fantastic stuff, fantastic stuff. I come from a Christian anarchist perspective.
Yeah.
And obviously, sort of, you know, my strong anarchist political stuff, and you know, that's what drew me to punk. I mean,
yeah,
have Dischord got a politic at all?
Yeah, very, very strongly anarchist, I'd say. We've got a song on our first album, The Wakes, called Vote for No One, that's sparked endless debate and argument over the years. And you know what? It's not really about who you vote for or whether you vote. It's the idea that we are the government, really. We need to govern ourselves and take care of ourselves. And I think, funnily enough, at the moment, we're seeing that in action on a sort of mainstream political level. It's ironic that we've got a Tory government sort of being more socialist than any Tory government's ever been at the moment by necessity.
Probably more socialist than a Labour government for decades as well.
Yeah, I'd say so. And then on a personal level, we're seeing, you know, there are always going to be scumbags, but there's a lot of decency at the moment, a lot of people helping each other and supporting each other. And that's what Dischord have always been about, that, you know, that power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts ultimately. So don't look to leaders, don't look to, you know, to rulers. look to your neighbours and ask how you can help them and how we can help each other.
Brilliant.
We're about community, and that's why we love punk music, because it's a community.
Yeah, one of the things which, yeah, I mean, I was looking at the last election, and I thought Labour had got a brilliant manifesto, but people don't read manifestos; they read the fucking Sun and stuff, and that's what puts their governments in. So I guess that's what I've sort of learned more strongly. That you fucking this political process is bollocks. You know, whoever says comes up with a manifesto, it's not going to get read anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the media treatment of the whole thing just goes to show that those that own the media, those that control the flow of information, have the ultimate power in terms of deciding outcomes. And if you look at like what happened with Brexit, with the way that these campaigns are targeted now, using the sort of algorithms to prey on people's personal insecurities and fears and manipulate them that way. It's just it only confirms to me that the system is completely broken, and we need a completely new system. Yeah, that's why I'm an anarchist.
Yeah, activists have just written a new song. I posted a video up called Mother Earth. It's about Mother Earth dying, and I quote Dorothy Day in that about Dorothy Day was a Christian anarchist who was set up the Catholic worker movement, who was sort of really into their activism and stopping war and promoting justice and looking after the marginalised. But one thing she said was, we've got to rip the fucking guts out of this corrupt system and rebuild in its shell.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I see that as what the punk scene is doing. We all look after one another, we're all fucking one big family, and that's sort of something organic which goes against what's forced upon us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting the choice of term Christian anarchist, because in a way they go together, don't they? I think Jesus turfing out the.
Well, yeah, turfing out the moneylenders was a total act of non-violent direct action.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's really what he was preaching and doing. That's exactly what he was doing. It was got people some fucking noses so much that the state and religion crucified him.
Yeah. There's a fantastic series of books actually called Little Histories, and they do one on philosophy, and there's one on literature, and there's a fantastic one on religion, kind of like a history of belief sort of across all continents, and the idea that it's all basically part of the same story, which I kind of liked, because I really support anybody's right to practice their own religion or spirituality, but then linking it to politics, it's when people want to rule and to use their interpretation of a teaching or a text to suppress people. That's the problem. And it's always systemic rather than spiritual.
Yeah, I mean, people are always going to fucking try and abuse and use something. I mean, like, we get back to Hitler. I mean, at one point it was a Catholic, the next minute it was fucking reading and preaching Nietzsche.
Yeah.
The people swallowing the fucking shit left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
Anyway, mate, would you like to introduce?
Yeah. Anyway, so onto religious persecution. Here's a song about witchcraft, and I must say, there's a Blackpool artist called Mark Hetherington, who has designed a lot of our T-shirts, and he did the tarot cards for the War or Peace album, and he did the Joker playing cards for the latest album, and he made this video. It's funnily enough, both Zoe and I wrote short stories for a Pendle Witch anthology called Shadows of Pendle, and Mark painted the cover for that as well. And so yeah, he's also taken a lot of inspiration from the local landscape and the local folklore, and this video is all his artwork, and it's all his editing and his animation, which he set it to our music, so we very cheekily borrowed it. But yeah, there's a lot of kind of wobbly, on the dance floor, low quality videos of Dischord, and they're all great because they have that kind of, the rawness and the intensity of the gigs. But I don't know how much fun they are for people to watch. Whereas the song is something completely different. It's something that we've never done before stylistically. So it made sense to include this video too, something a bit different. But we absolutely love it, and thanks so much to Mark for making it.
Right, folks, you can catch that in the links. Check out the links. Make sure you watch these songs. Or you're about to open yourselves to some awesomeness. Yeah, I'll just pick on something you said about sort of the spiritual side of life. I mean, it's like, for me, it's like, there's only one life and we all share it. So it's like, as long as we don't oppress or fucking, we're not fascists or racists or homophobes, I know that shit. I think, there's a lot of depth we can walk in and a lot of ground we can cover together.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think it's
like John Lilburn, we're all free as long as that freedom doesn't interrupt anybody else's.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, brilliant. Right, thanks for being on, buddy. That's been great.
Yeah.
And I look forward to a new album.
Oh, well, we've only just done one. We've because we're in isolation and we can't record anything. Jake's just done an acoustic sort of reimagining of one of our tracks from War or Peace, the last track. In fact, that's the next video, actually. It's a little segue.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, so thanks for being on. Where can people check out your stuff?
We're on Facebook, Twitter, Discord UK. All of our albums are currently up on Bandcamp for free because we thought that's the least we can do at the moment. People stuck indoors, so there's 4 albums you can download for free and a short film and an ebook. And we're on Spotify and all of that.
Awesome. Well, folks, make sure you check out Dischord because they are fucking awesome. Total energy live, and check out their albums too. So, basically, my message is check out fucking Dischord. And thanks for being on, Chris.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, buddy. You take care, man.
See you later. Cheers.